At Chipotle, we also have a playlist. Guacamole as it's being hand mashed, the sizzle of adobo chicken on the grill, the chopping of onions and cilantro. We call our playlist Real. Order now. Chipotle, for real.
This podcast is brought to you by Carvana. Buying a car shouldn't eat up your week. That's why Carvana made it convenient. Car buying that fits around your life, not the other way around. You can get pre-qualified for an auto loan in just a couple of minutes and browse thousands of quality car options, all within your terms, all online, all on your schedule. Turn car buying into a few clicks and not a full week's endeavor. Finance and buy your car at your convenience on
Carvana.
Financing subject to credit approval. Additional terms and conditions may apply.
Powered by Riverside FM.
Welcome to Futures Focus, talking all prospects all the time across all the levels of the game. Brought to you by Prospects 1500. My name is Jeremy May, and I am joined today by two mainstays over here at Prospects 1500, our president and Red Sox fan, Scott Green, and also hailing from the city of brotherly love is Tony Bips Spina. Welcome, gentlemen.
Hey, what's going on, Jeremy? Hey, Tony Bips.
Hey, Scott, Jeremy, thanks for having me on, guys.
Oh, man, it's great to have you. Great to have you guys. So in this episode, we're going to focus on all things Futures game. Coming up this Saturday, so we're going to hit on the Futures game and talk a lot about it. The game is loaded this year. We have some numbers here just to kick out. 26 of the guys on this made our preseason top 105 list. 18 of them landed inside of our top 50, and there are 9 players that when we did our organizational rankings that came in as the number 1 prospects. So, Prospects 1500 rankings were came in strong here. So, but
cool.
before we jump,
pretty spot on with those.
Right.
I'd say so. It's almost like they looked at our list, huh?
Well, it's a great thing that we do, and I like the way we do it with the collaboration. You know, we've got our top 50 team, and it's a great way to get our overall rankings together.
I agree. I love our format. That's what makes us, I think, unique is you get all these different perspectives. And Scott and I may value prospects totally different, but when you throw those opinions together, you come up with a lot more user-friendly list, I think, for our readers and our followers to go with.
Jeremy, if I may just hop in really quick before we get into talking Futures game.
Yes, sir.
This is really cool that we are, if I may, we are officially back. We've had a break really since the beginning of the season for Futures Focus. I want to thank Alex and Nate for all the work they've done over the last several years. But now it's kind of like a new beginning. And the beginning of the 2025 season and the off season really was the start of our, I believe, 7th season of Futures Focus, 6 or 7. I'm sorry, I didn't look that up. But right now it's like part B. You know, we are back. And Jeremy, I'm psyched that you've stepped up, to be our new host. And we just have a lot of exciting things that are coming up for the second half of the baseball season. So I just wanted to say that. I want to thank you. I want to thank our previous hosts, and we look ahead and move forward. Let's talk Futures game.
Absolutely. And Scott, you're exactly right. I think I'll probably refer to Alex as the godfather on this episode because he laid a great groundwork, had me on several times and kind of gave me the itch. So I appreciate that. But no, I agree. I think it's going to be exciting and a perfect segue into that. If our listeners stick through to the end of this, we're going to give you a special announcement about our an upcoming episode that I think is going to be really, really, really awesome and going to be really valuable for y'all. So, but Scott, before we jump in, you kind of talked a little bit about it, but before we jump in to talking about Futures game, why don't you fill us in on some of the exciting things that it's going on with Prospects 1500 revolving around All-Star Weekend and some things like that.
Yeah, so I mean, we're back here with Futures Focus. Nate and Michael Kelly are putting work in on our second podcast called Dynasty Deep Dive, and we'll hopefully have a new episode from them in the coming weeks. we've got a lot of staff that are going to be in Georgia later this week and over the weekend. We will be, my son Adam and I are going to be at the Greenville Drive game Thursday night. Then our Prospects 1500 staff, a good number of us, we're going to be in Rome, Georgia for the Emperors against the Hub City Spartanburgers Friday night. Saturday afternoon, we have the Futures game. Adam and Gail will be credentialed and down on the field pregame. Adam will probably be in the clubhouse talking to several of the players. So we'll have reports on social media about that. And then Michael Kelly and Adam will be on the floor at the MLB draft at the Coca-Cola Roxy in Atlanta on Sunday night for night one of the draft. We'll have a bunch of the rest of us kind of in the peanut gallery in the cheap seats, but we're excited. We're excited to be there. So it's just going to be chock full of fun things for Prospects 1500 team coming up this Thursday through Sunday. And then I think the only other thing I can think of right now is it's halfway through the season. So we are going to be updating our top 50 lists sometime towards the end of this month, very beginning of August. So we release our top 50 ranks for every organization in the preseason. We're going to have those updated very soon and out on the site for people to check out. So thanks everyone for listening. Thanks for checking out the website. And I guess, I'll throw it back to you.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Scott. So, again, the meat of this episode, we're going to be focusing on the Futures Focus, or the fantasy, the Futures game, sorry. And in a perfect preview to that, I want to give Tony props. He had an article drop just this past week over at prospects1500.com. And I recommend that you jump over and look at that even after you listen to this podcast, because Tony does a great job with that every year. And it's going to go even a little more in depth, even more than what we do here today. So I wanted to give you a shout out on that one, Tony. And I will also kind of refer to that a couple of times during this podcast to kind of give us a flow to follow. So, so I think first, guys, and again, Tony, you kind of said it in your article, everything revolves around pitching, right? So let's jump over and start looking at these Futures games rosters, and we'll start on the pitching side. I think what we'll do that'll be fun, we'll go through these rosters. Scott's going to represent the American League. Tony will represent the National League, which is pretty appropriate, being Red Sox and Phillies fans respectively. And then we'll just we'll kind of go through these and have a good time with it. So we'll start with pitching. Let's start over on the AL side. Scott, I'll read through these pitchers here and then let you kind of talk about some of the ones that stand out to you. So the first one we have is Jurrangelo Cijntje, the very famous switch pitcher from the Mariners. From the Orioles, we have Keegan Gillies, I believe is how you say his name.
Yes.
He's a 6'8" right-handed reliever for the Orioles. Brody Hopkins, right-handed pitcher from the Rays. George Clausen, a right-handed pitcher for the Angels. Parker Messick, left-handed pitcher from the Guardians. Trey Savage, right-handed pitcher from the Blue Jays. Alimber Santana from the Astros. Santa. Sorry, yes, you're right. I'd read that wrong. Alimber Santa, right-handed pitcher from the Astros. Noah Schultz, the left-handed fireballer from the White Sox. Frank Mazzucato, another left-hander from the Royals. And last, but most definitely not least, is one of the biggest pop-up prospects right now, and that's the left-hander from the Athletics, Gage Jump. Yes. So, Scott, what stands out to you?
A few things. So, two relievers, Gillies and Santa, and then the rest of starters. So I would expect that if we see Gillies and Santa maybe towards the end of the game, then it's only a 7-inning game. I am a little curious on a couple of the selections. Now, I know they're great names, but are we looking at the statistics from this year or just how big of a name and a blue chip prospect are they? So you mentioned, Gage Jump having an amazing season. 15 games, 14 starts, 2.07 ERA across high A and double A. He's got a 10.8 strikeouts per nine, but his whip is under one at 0.97. He's been awesome. So I definitely am looking forward to seeing at least an inning out of him. But our switch pitcher, Gerangelo, his ERA is just under 5, 4.95. A little high on the whip, 1.35. And his walks per 9 innings is 5.4. So I'm kind of curious. I mean, I'm excited to see him. I'm curious how he got the nod. But I guess statistics isn't everything. But also looking at statistics, I'm really high on George Klassen from the Angels. He's got 14 starts in Double A this year, and we're going to talk about a reference to an MLB.com article just a little later on in the episode where Klassen is listed as the best fastball in the pitchers in the futures game, but he's struggled mightily this year. ERA is 6.49 and his whip is 1.58. So again, I'm just kind of wondering, do they not care? Do they not look at those numbers? Do you guys have any thoughts on that?
As I was writing the article, I was thinking the same thing about a couple of these guys. Klassen, one of them, with his ERA, he's been wild. He um, hasn't really lived up to the preseason potential, I thought. So I was a little surprised to see him, among others, named to the team too.
Yeah. Jeremy, your thoughts?
Well, so one thing that kind of stands out to me about the futures game, and this is more just from me looking at it in the past, it's not even, now you guys correct me if I'm wrong, it's not even the prime time event that day that they have. So
Well,
it's
that's
at like
a
at
whole other
4,
thing I don't even want to talk about. But
it's
yes.
at 4:00, right? So it's at
Yeah.
4:00, and then you have the celebrity softball game after it. It's almost offensive for us prospect guys, right?
Right.
So to me, what they tried to strike a balance. If I look at this, I think they tried to strike a balance of let's make the game competitive. Let's throw some of the big names out there that a fan from about every team can tune into this game and recognize the name that's representing that team, and at the same time reward some of the guys like Gage Jump that have had the pop up. So I think they tried to strike a balance, but you're right with and again, perfect with Sinja, the switch pitcher. Everybody's talking about him, right? Everybody's talking about the uniqueness of the switch pitcher. He's got to be in the game for that. That's just my opinion. But
Well, you're right. It makes sense. Klassen is the only Angels representative, and he's probably the top, if not, one of the top pitching prospects in their system. So there you go. That's the big name. Angels fans can tune in and see him, and let's just say, put away his, first half stats for now.
Yep.
A couple other pitchers I just want to talk about for the AL before Tony talks about the NL. Trey Savage from the Blue Jays, their first round pick from last year. He has been awesome across 3 levels. He started this year in A ball, went up to high A, is now currently in double A with the New Hampshire Fisher Cats. He just pitched here in Hartford a week or so ago and had like an amazing game. I'm so bummed that I didn't get there that night. 16 starts, 3.19 ERA, 0.99 whip, and how about 14.8 Ks per 9?
good.
So that is just crazy. It's off the charts. He's one of the pitchers that I'll tell you is going to be in my what matchup do I want to watch. So I just kind of gave away half of my answer there. But that's what I think about the AL pitchers. I think it's going to be pretty good. And Tony, what do you think on those NL pitchers?
Starting from the top, Grissom. It's a nice feel-good story. Grissom Jr. pitching for the Nationals against his father, managing for the American League, but middle reliever, nothing special really, unfortunately. But nice to see him make the game. Harris is another reliever out of Atlanta, 15K per 9, doing phenomenal down there. He is 26 years old, little on the older side for a prospect. I'm a little disappointed the Phillies did not let Painter attend the game. Our Philly's top prospect, one of the best pitching prospects in baseball. I can see their point of view. They want to keep him healthy. He's back from the injury, but a little disappointing not seeing him. Um, Sakura just found out today. Sakura from Washington's not going to be in the game, so that's another disappointment. But at least he got injured. You can see why he's not going to be in the game. He was definitely someone I was looking forward to seeing. The kid from New York, Jonah Tong, phenomenal. Awesome year. Seemingly came out of nowhere. I mean, he had a solid, pretty good 2024, but struggled before then. It looks like he flipped the switch last year and just doing really well for the Mets. Um, Another guy, Richie, another reliever, good control guy out of Atlanta. It looks like another reliever, Trent Harris, was added from San Fran. He's about 14K per nine. Pretty good middle reliever. So it looks like there's really not too many starters for the National League. Granted, they're only going to go one inning, maybe two at the most. But looks like the American League has the advantage here.
Yeah, I would tend to I would tend to agree. And actually, it's kind of this spoiler alert in your article. You did, even before the changes to the National League, you had already given the American League the edge on the pitching side. Scott, do you agree? Even let's say that even if Travis Sakura, Andrew Painter, and Jackson Wiggins were still participating in the game, do you still believe that the AL had the edge on the pitching?
I'm not so sure. I like a lot of those guys. I love Painter. I love Sakura. Jonah Tong has been awesome. I don't even know if we touched on Thomas White there for Miami. So
Right.
I think it's really close. But the fact that, NL lost a couple of those guys, yeah, let's stick to AL. I mean, with Savage and Jump, at the top, I'm going that way.
That's kind of where I lean to. I was going to take the easy out and ride the fence on this one, but I think with those three late subtractions from the NL roster, I think that kind of did us in there a little bit. Guys, before we jump over to the hitting side, let's take our first break.
Sounds good.
All right, and we're back. So now we've talked about the pitchers. We're going to jump over to the hitting side. I'll run through the NL side of the hitting, and then Tony, let you jump in and talk about some of the guys that you want to talk about. So first we'll start with the battery mates there, the catchers. And from the National League, we have Joe Mack from the Marlins, and then two young, exciting studs in Alfredo Duno of the Reds and Eduardo Tate from your Phillies, Tony.
Yep.
Infielders. So on the infield side for the NL, we have a corner infielder, I believe he's been playing first base more, Charlie Condon from the Rockies. We have a couple of third basemen, Sal Stewart and Lou James, Gino Groover. Sal Stewart's of the Reds, Groover would be from the D-backs. And then, in my opinion, a who's who of top shortstops, and Leo DeVries for the Padres, Connor Griffin from the Pirates, Jesus Made from the Brewers, and J.J. Weatherholt from my Cardinals. Then in the outfield, we have two of the best young prospects in the game, especially in the Dodgers organization, Josue De Paula and Zaire Hope. Carson Bench from the Mets, Slade Caldwell, also of the Diamondbacks, Owen Casey of the Cubs, who could be drawing a lot of trade deadline discussions, and another kind of pop-up prospect for this year, and Esmerlin Valdez from the Pirates. So, Tony, give me your thoughts on the NL side.
You got some talent here. Looking over the roster, I see it maybe more potential than production right now. You named some really, really good prospects there. Made, DeVries, DePaula, Hope. Right now, if you look at their numbers, they're not really doing as great as you think just looking at the rankings. DeVries batting 250 on base, he's getting on base about a 360 clip, 5 home runs, 6 steals. Not impressive, the counting stats, but he's still young, very, very young. Maybe he'll grow into that. Same thing with Made. 4 home runs, batting 275, He's walking a lot though, just like DeVries. So you see the potential they have getting on base. Does have 37 steals, which is phenomenal. Um, the other two shortstops, Connor Griffin, Weatherholt, tearing it up. Griffin, 13 home runs, 37 steals. His OBP's near 400, batting over 300. Weatherholt just called up to AAA. Love them two guys. Can't wait to see them soon. Um, the last guy you mentioned, Valdez with Pittsburgh, he's another one having a great year, getting on base. Um, he has a ready-made path to Pittsburgh. He's playing first base or outfield. They're struggling as always. No offense, Pittsburgh fans, but we may see him up later in the year. It'd be nice to see him. Um, the catching side, I'm really excited about Joe Mack. He was struggling up until last year. He's picking it up. It's nice to see him get some recognition. Would love to see him become a good part of the Marlins offense. Probably blocked up in the majors by Ramirez, who's been doing well, but those things work themselves out. And Eduardo Tate, as a Phillies fan, love him. Great power. He's only 18. He's got to work on the hit tool a little bit, but serious power. And with Real Muto being a free agent after this year, who knows? Who knows what can happen with Tate? I don't know if he'll be up next year, but another year or two in the minors, if he keeps being successful, we might see him in a few years. Oh,
Agree. Definitely agree. That definitely some younger side talent there. Some of the big names are a little younger and, like you said, a little less proven. So, it probably, it's more of a showcase game for the futures game. So it'll be fun to see these guys, but I don't think we'll learn anything, too much about these guys in just one game. But definitely some exciting names in there.
right.
Scott, let's jump over to the AL side. I'll kind of do the same thing. I'll roll through these guys. On the catching side, Hosway, Brasinho from the Tigers, Harry Ford from the Mariners. Seems like he's been a prospect forever. Carter Jensen.
Seems like he's been in the last 3 futures games too.
I believe you're right. Carter Jensen from the Royals, who is absolutely red hot right now. Over to the infield side, CJ Kafis, first baseman from the Guardians. A third baseman, Tommy White from the Athletics, and then a bunch of middle infielders here. Kalen Culpepper of the Twins, George Lombard Jr., Yankees, Bryce Matthews from the Astros, Kevin McGonigal of the Tigers, and Sebastian Walcott from the Rangers. So that wraps up the infield, and then as we head over to the outfield, Enrique Bradfield Jr. from the Orioles, Lazaro Montez from the Mariners, my personal prospect crush and Max Clark from the Tigers. Scott, your former Red Sox prospect, and Braden Montgomery, now of the White Sox. And yes, I left his name for last. Red Sox prospect, the password, Yostinson Garcia. So that rounds out the AL. Scott, give us your thoughts.
All right. You know what? The first thing that I'm thinking about here this is pretty cool nugget if you didn't realize this. The Tigers just had 3 players promoted from high A to double A.
Saw that.
Briseño, McGonigal, and Clark.
Mm-hmm.
All 3 of them make the futures game, and all 3 of them are the only batters on this roster that each of them have more walks than strikeouts. Briseño, going into today,
Wow.
Briseño, 41 walks to 40 strikeouts. McGonigal, 26 walks to 20 strikeouts. And Clark, 65 walks to 56 strikeouts. I think that's very telling. And that I know that I'll give a shout out to Emily Walden. She said she feels sorry for anyone that's facing the Erie Seawolves lineup for the second half of the year. So yeah, I mean, Briseño has been great, hitting just under 300, slugging over 600. His OPS is 1024. McGonigal, simply amazing as well. 358, 450, 617 slash line. And Max Clark has been hitting, I guess, 285, 430 OBP. And they're, like big 3 for the Tigers. a few other guys I wanted to mention that definitely deserve a shout out. One of them will probably be my sleeper for MVP pick. I'm not going to say who that is right now. But Montez is just crazy power. I don't know if you guys realize that he had 21 homers last season. He just matched that in the first half of the year, 21 homers right now with 58 RBIs. And he's slugging, his OPS 968, by the way, for the Arkansas Travelers in AA. I also wanted to mention that the two speedy guys, 25 stolen bases and 24 stolen bases, respectively, Lombard Jr. and Bryce Matthews. And then check out the numbers from this guy, CJ Kafis, that Guardians corner infielder prospect. He's got 8 triples, 12 homers. He's hitting .313. His OBP is .406. OPS 969, and he has an amazing 151 total bases. Second total bases on the roster to Montez, who has 169. So those are the hitters that I wanted to touch on. I'd love to see some fireworks out of the password. Kind of bummed that his little brother, Johan Fran Garcia, the username is not going to be in the Futures game. But,
I love it.
I'm going to lean AL. I'm going to lean AL on this one too.
Meet the most capable CRV Honda has ever dreamed of. The all-new CRV Trail Sport Hybrid. With all-terrain tires and available enhanced traction control, it's built for wherever the day takes you. Heated front seats and a heated steering wheel, ideal for winter drives and crisp early starts. And with generous cargo space, it's ready for big gear and even bigger getaways. The CRV Trail Sport Hybrid. Learn more at honda.com/CRV.
Ray-Ban Meta glasses are powered by Meta AI, so you can get real-time answers.
Hey, Meta, how bougie is Jade Garden?
It's a trendy spot.
What's a color that pairs with this top?
Consider dark, earthy colors, charcoal or black.
What are some good first date topics?
Consider discussing favorite travel destinations or your favorite books.
Get suggestions, inspiration, and answers from your glasses. Ray-Ban Meta glasses. Iconic style meets Meta AI.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. Again, getting back to your article there, Tony. Not to spoil anything for anybody who hadn't read it yet, but pretty much across the board, you gave the edge to the AL. And initially, okay, on paper, I'm going to admit, initially on paper, I looked at the infield side and I'm like, no way. There's no way that a combo of DeVries, Griffin, Made, and then my guy Weatherholt. There's no way that AL has the advantage there. But then you really look at stuff more, and I think I'm wrong. But for argument's sakes, I'm gonna push back and say, Scott, you have to break the tie. Well, first of all, Tony, tell me why I'm wrong, and tell me why the AL is better than the NL on the infield side, because that was really the only place I disagreed with you in your article.
I mean, I was going back and forth with the infielders and the pitching, but once I saw Painter was out, that gave it to the AL for pitching. Infielders a little tougher. If I can explain a little better, I think the NL may have better potential in the infield. 3 years from now, I think the NL will win this. But now, based on the production, what they're doing right now, these guys, I had to go with the American League.
And, honestly, I think you're right. I mean,
Griffin, Weatherholt, phenomenal. The other guys, more potential, That's
sure.
The only thing I was thinking.
I love those NL infielders. I'm almost thinking about changing my pick, but
oh my God,
I'm not going to do that. I'm stick to where I am. But Weatherholt, Made, Griffin, and DeVries. I mean, come on, that's fireworks right there.
It's pretty crazy. But again, we talk about this from when we go at it from a dynasty angle, right? it's just potential until you show it. And so you're right, it is more potential. You look at, I mean, Bryce Matthews is knocking on the door with the Astros. McGonigal is a stud. Kalen Culpepper is a stud. So you're right. I think the proximity of the AL side and what they're doing right now, I have to agree with you. I think I do have to.
I do have a question. How is CJ Kayfus not in the major leagues right now?
Right.
The only thing I can think of is he's just blocked right now, right? Because he's pretty much tied to first base DH, right?
Yeah.
So you got, I guess, is Santana still playing? Is Santana still the first baseman there?
Yeah.
And then you got Manzardo clogging up.
No, it's not Big Christmas.
No, Big Christmas, I think, is a quad A guy now. But
yeah.
So I think that's the only thing with Kayfus probably is that between Manzardo and Santana, he may be a little blocked. But, geez, you think Santana needs to be blocking CJ Kayfus right now?
No.
Right.
Yeah, so I think that kind of wraps up the hitting, the offensive side of things. Guys, do you have any parting thoughts on the infield side before we jump further on?
We can do our predictions in the next segment, my friend.
Let's do it. So I'll tell you what, Scott, that's a perfect segue. Let's take another quick break, and then we'll get into a couple more topics and wrap this podcast up. How about that?
That sounds great. Awesome.
Yep. Sounds good.
All right, and we are back talking more 2025 Futures Game info. Scott, earlier you referred to an article about tools and stuff, and I think it's a really good topic. It's a really good jumping off point for us to talk to kind of get into the next segment of this. So, Scott, why don't you go through some of that article, and Tony and I can kind of weigh in.
Yeah, absolutely. So this was published. We're recording this on Tuesday, July 8th. It was published earlier today from a friend of the site, friend of the show, Jonathan Mayo on MLB.com. And he went through the best tools in the futures game for hitters and for pitchers. It's something cool for me because I just as a kind of a casual fan, a big prospect fan, follower and whatnot, but I don't know who has the best changeup, and I don't know who has the best run tool in the game. So to see someone write about each one and highlight these players we'll see on Saturday in the futures game, it's really helpful for me. So I'll run through them quickly. We've already touched on all these players in our previous segment. He says best hit tool, Kevin McGonigal, Tigers. Best power, Lazaro Montes, Mariners. Best run tool, Enrique Bradfield Jr., the Orioles. And also the best fielding tool is Bradfield as well, which I found pretty interesting. And the best arm, Connor Griffin on the Pirates. So those are the offensive players. And then for pitchers, we've got 6. The best fastball, he says, is going to George Klassen for the Angels, who's averaging 96.6 this year, and he's topped out at 99. Curveball to Frank Mazzucato, the Royals. Best slider, Noah Schultz, White Sox. Changeup to Carson Whisenhunt of the Giants. Splitter, Trey Savage for the Blue Jays. And as we talked about earlier, the crazy pop-up year for Gage Jump of the Athletics. He has the best control. So that's what Jonathan said. I think it's pretty cool to see all those and I'll be able to keep that in mind and refer to that when we're watching these guys on Saturday. Thoughts for you guys on those?
Yeah, I mean, Tony, you go ahead, Tony.
No, I was just going to say McGonigal with the hit tool. Yep, I totally agree there. I didn't know about Bradford with his fielding and his speed, so that was pretty eye-opening. So, back to you, Jer.
No, I think that's pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, I think I would. I mean, just when you think about each of these guys that he had in the categories, those are the tools, like you said earlier with Montez and Power. No kidding, guys crushing the ball. I thought fastball. I think if you had before reading his article, I think if you had told me, or if you had asked me fastball, I think I would have said maybe Noah Schultz. But an average of 97 is pretty impressive. I don't think I paid enough attention to Clausen to know that he was averaging 97 on his fastball. That's really impressive.
Yeah.
So no, I think that's really that article is really cool. Especially even with changeup, like I would have never been able to tell you who had the best changeup. So talking about Carson Whisenhunt and that's actually really neat. So no, that's
So
a cool article.
Couple of matchups that I would love to see based off of these, tools. I'd love to see that fastball by Klassen against the power of Montes. But that's not going to happen, is it? Because they're both on the American League. So
Not in this game, but
Yeah, not in this game. So I need an American League and a National League. So how about seeing, let's see, Carson Whisenhunt of the Giants with the changeup throwing to McGonigal of the Tigers. That's a good matchup there.
That would definitely be pretty cool. That
Trying
would
to
be
think
pretty
if there's
neat.
another one here that I like. Connor Griffin go up against Trey Savage. How about that? Connor Griffin against Trey Savage.
All right. I want to see Clayson and his fastball against Owen Casey from the Cubs with his power.
All right.
Power
Okay,
versus
now that's a
power.
good one. That's a good one right there. That's a good one. I think if I had to pick a pitcher and a hitter matchup, I think I want to see just not really necessarily based off of tools, but just personally, I want to see Jonathan go up against Max Clark, just because I think Tong being the massive pop-up guy and Clark being a personal favorite of mine from a dynasty standpoint, I just want to see those two guys go against each other. So it'll be interesting to see because it's a 7-inning game, correct? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Right.
It's a 7-inning game. So I think there's 9. Was there like 9 or 10 pitchers from each side? So it's going to be interesting to see how the managers split those pitchers up if they go matchups late in the game or. It'll be
I
interesting.
think that's what usually happens. The first 4 or 5 of them will get an inning, and then the last couple innings you'll see guys go 1 or 2 outs.
Yeah, they haven't announced the starters for the game yet on the mound, have they?
I don't believe so. I
haven't seen anything. That'll be very interesting to see who gets to come out and face the 1 through 3 of each team. That'll be kind of cool to see that. Well, speaking of that, speaking of pitching and hitting matchups, back to your article, Tony. You gave us your prediction in your article, and at that time it was a 6-2 American League victory with Kevin McGonigal as the MVP. You sticking with that, and if so, give me some of your thoughts behind how you came to that.
Yeah, definitely going to stick with that. Just think the AL with their guys who are doing really well right now with their pitching, especially, they could just air it out 1 inning per pitcher, like we wrote, or just play some matchups. But I think McGonigal's just been tearing it up. It'd be a nice way for him to get more people discussing him by showing up at the Futures game.
I love it, and I love the Kevin McGonigal pick as the MVP. I mean, that's a great pick. I think you kind of stole my pick there, but Scott. So we've heard from Tony. Scott, who wins and who takes home the MVP? Kind of give me your thoughts on how you think the game will come out.
Seeing a game somewhat in the 5-3 or 5-4 range. I don't think it's going to be a major pitcher's battle. And I'm going to go with the AL coming out on top. And I kind of teased this earlier. One of the guys that I talked about, CJ Kayfus is my MVP.
Nice.
He's going to go 2 for 2 with a single and a homer.
That could have belonged in our bold predictions episode that we had a few months back. I like that. That's bold. So I'm gonna have to be different. I really probably think the AL will win on paper, but I'm gonna be different just because that's how I am. And I'm gonna take the NL. I agree with you guys. You guys are in that kind of mid-range scoring. So I'm going to say it's 4-2 NL. And for an MVP, gosh, the Cardinals fan in me really wants me to take Weatherholt, but I think I'm going to go with Connor Griffin.
I thought you were going to take Weatherholt.
Me too.
So I would love to, but man, Connor Griffin is just so hot right now, and that would be just really, really neat to see see that guy. You know, this is kind of off topic a little bit, but I think the thought last year in that 2024 draft was that it was kind of maybe a little bit down, a down draft, and I think it's crazy that if you look in a year, in a year's time, Connor Griffin went from in our fantasy redrafts, first year player drafts went from a 9th or 10th overall pick. Maybe some people were reaching and taking him 5th. And now we're talking about him as a top 10 prospect. It's just, it's crazy what difference a year makes.
Oh yeah, totally.
Well, guys, I think we've definitely talked a lot about the futures game. Before we move on, do you guys have any parting thoughts you'd like to say about the futures game itself?
I do. You're not going to stop me from making a few more comments, but and before Jeremy, don't forget. I want you to tease our next Futures Focus episode.
Oh, for sure. I got an announcement to make. Absolutely.
All right. I do have to ask our other friend here, a friend of the show and on with us right now, Tony, tell me, what do you have planned for Futures Game 2026? It's in your neck of the woods. Are you going to roll out the red carpet for us or what?
Funny you say that. I was going to just mention that. I can't wait. I'm scouting out some places now. Trying to get a suite for us at Citizens Bank Park. I'm going to go all out for us. Looking so forward to it. Can't wait. Another year.
I mean, you're going to show us, the city, right? And we're going to find a minor league game in the area to go to, and
oh yeah,
it's just going to be, off the charts. Philadelphia 2026, right?
Oh yeah, we're gonna have some good cheesesteaks, Reading Phillies. We're gonna have a good weekend.
All right,
might there be some chicken and pizza in there?
We'll get chicken and pizza. It's only 6 blocks from the park.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, so Tony, I call dibs right now on your spare bedroom for the weekend, and I see a futures focused podcast coming live from Tony BPS's living room.
Oh, nice. We'll make it work. We'll do that. It's going to be a good time.
Guys, this has been a blast. I appreciate both of you coming on and making my hosting debut much smoother and much easier listening for our listeners than it would have been otherwise. So outside of the future game, any parting thoughts you guys want to leave the audience with, and also make sure and tell our listeners how they can reach out and follow you guys, and then I'll make our announcement.
Yeah. Thanks again, Jeremy, for stepping up. Great episode. Looking forward to what's coming. People can follow me. The best way to find me is on Twitter at Scotty_ballgame. Follow us for everything Prospects 1500 at Prospects 1500. We're going to be talking about the Cape Cod Baseball League, and as I mentioned earlier, our updated top 50s come in the next few weeks.
Yeah, and I'm just going to echo what Scott said. Jeremy, thanks for having me on. I had a blast. Can't wait to see the game Sunday, and can't wait to see what else is coming out, And you can reach me on Twitter at TonyPips1. Go from there.
Well, again, guys, really appreciate it. Okay, so for our listeners, we teased it several times now, so might as well get to it here. With the MLB draft less than 1 week away, coming up, it starts Sunday, I think. First couple of rounds is on Sunday.
Sunday round one, and Monday. Monday, and I think it's 3 days.
Yeah, I think you're right too. So with all that coming up, you are not going to want to miss our next episode. Our very own MLB draft correspondent, Sean Kernahan, is going to join me here on this podcast, and we are going to review the first couple rounds of the draft, get Sean's thoughts on the players, who went too high, who went too low. I'm going to just ask the questions and get out of the way and let Sean's knowledge take over. This is not something you're going to want to miss. Sean follows these high school and college kids all year, does a fantastic job. In my opinion, his knowledge is second to none, and I use it in my fantasy dynasty leagues personally when I go into my drafts. So going to be a really, really, really cool episode. Stoked for Sean to be on and impart his wisdom to you guys.
That's awesome. And Jeremy, if I may, just, let everyone know, we just published Sean's draft top 50 yesterday. So that's on the site. Definitely check out his 2025 MLB draft top 250 rankings. He's also going to be posting his overall top, I think 600 on his site, three-quarter slot day of the draft. So great draft content from Sean. He's the guy to have on, and I'm glad you hooked up with him for that.
I think that's the great thing about Prospects 1500, Scott, is you put a really good team of guys together, and a lot of knowledge out there, a lot of really entertaining things, and so that's kind of what we want to do going forward, is get this knowledge out to you guys. So that's what we're going to do in the future, and definitely tune in next week. As I've been looking at the outline for that article and having some conversations with Sean, it's probably going to turn into 2 episodes. It's going to be so long, so I'm really stoked to get this out. So again, guys, Tony, Scott, very much appreciate you guys coming on. Enjoy your time for All-Star Weekend. Tony, be good, and this is going to be Futures Focus signing off. Thanks again for tuning in, and we will catch up to you next time on Futures Focused, a Prospects 1500 podcast.